Hi to everybody. Welcome to the online award ceremony for the 2022 Discover Cork Schools Heritage Project. And unfortunately, it's another year where we have to do an online award ceremony. But whether which we are joined this afternoon online by the Lord Mayor of Cork for this year, Councillor Colm Kelleher, which I'm delighted to see on the call. And I'm just going to hand over to Councillor Kelleher, the Lord Mayor, to say a few words at the start of this award ceremony. So over to you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor McCarthy, and may I commend you on the work you've done in relation to the Discover Cork Schools Heritage Project. As it's in its 20th year this year, and it's open to all the schools in Cork City. It is funded by Cork City Council, and the project is an initiative of the Cork City Heritage Plan. Look, it's as I said, in its 20th year, the Discover Cork School Heritage Project is aimed at both primary and post-primary level students. The project books were submitted on a broad range of aspects to do with Cork's rich past. We are a city that's coming up on nearly 1,000 years, give or take 100 thereabouts. I'm sure Kieran will give me the exact figure. No, look, we do have a rich past, and we are a mercantile city, a maritime city, and I'm sure, I'm looking forward now to all the slides in relation to what has been submitted to this year's Cork City National Schools, and to the national schools and the secondary schools, and through the Cork Heritage Treasurers, through Cork City's Heritage Plan, and more importantly, I'm looking forward to the overall project for 2021, and looking forward to the winners. And unfortunately, it is an award ceremony, as Councillor McCarthy has alluded to, that has taken place online again, such as the majority of our lives have taken place online. I'm very much looking forward to the possibility of looking at award ceremonies like this in the future being in the physical format, but for now it'll be online. So again, thank you very much, and delighted to be here, Councillor McCarthy. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lord Mayor. And we also have 40 seconds from our Heritage Officer who's recorded a video. I just share the screen and just put Niamh up to give her spiel. So Niamh Toomey is the City Council's Heritage Officer, and Niamh is a great friend of the project and a great driver of the Discover Cork Schools Heritage Project as well. So here we go.
Hi, I'm Niamh Toomey. I'm the Heritage Officer here with Cork City Council. I'm delighted to be here today at the online prize giving for the Cork Schools Heritage Project. I want to congratulate each and every one of you who participated in this competition, and send a big thank you to your teachers and your families who helped you with your projects. I know that the research has at times been very challenging with the lockdown and restrictions, and I really want to commend everyone for their imagination and their innovation in producing these projects. I know from speaking with Councillor McCarthy that he was very impressed with the quality of the work and the effort that was made in producing these projects. Speaking of Councillor McCarthy, I want to commend him on yet again creating this fabulous competition in what at times was very challenging, and for keeping the show on the road. I am, as always, very grateful to Councillor McCarthy for his continued support in promoting and protecting heritage in Cork City, particularly amongst young people, and being such a great advocate for our fascinating and varied history. I look forward to working with him on this and many other heritage projects in the future. Thank you all, and congratulations again on all of your fantastic projects.
So thanks to Niamh Toomey for that. So we'll get going, and I'll share another screen, which is the PowerPoint for the awards itself. So let me just, from the beginning. So hopefully, Lord Mayor, you can see those, can you? Excellent. So basically, Lord Mayor, we're going from 4th class, and there's a 4th class category, and then there's a 5th and 6th class category, and then there's a junior cert category, and then there's a living cert category, and then we actually have kind of like special prizes. Now in each one of the categories, there's individual and there's group, and in some categories we actually have a class. So that's kind of like the journey that we're going to go on. So let's start with the fourth class individual. And in each one of the categories, I have some slides going from 5th place to 1st place. And our journey with the fourth class actually will take us from Upper Glanmire to Ballinlough. So let's start with the fourth class individual. So 5th place in that category, and we go to Clodagh Ryan, and she's from Our Lady of Lourdes National School in Ballinlough. And her project is actually on Cork City Jail. And so she visited the jail and she did some really, really cool, colourful pages. And overall, it was just a great presentation. So well done to Clodagh on coming 5th. 4th place, we go to Caoimhe Kate Madden from Our Lady of Lourdes National School in Ballinlough. And Caoimhe did her project actually on trams in Cork. So trams came into Cork in 1898 and they went out in 1932. And we're very, very lucky in some parts of Cork City, for example, in Blackrock down by the pier, some of the tram lines are still there. And Caoimhe's project was all about kind of like showcasing where the trams used to run. And congratulations to Caoimhe on coming 4th in this category. 3rd place in this category, we go to Lucy O'Brien, who's in Our Lady of Lourdes School in Ballinlough, and she did a project actually on the Shaky Bridge. And the title of her project was called Pay Attention to the Suspension Cork's Shaky Bridge. And her project book is full of poems and drawings and pictures. And it's just really, really interesting project to read through. So well done to Lucy on that. And then we go to 2nd place, which was with Moya Deasy from Our Lady of Lourdes School in Ballinlough, and she did her project on Blarney Castle, and she went out and she kissed the stone, and she also kind of really built a really quirky project around how important Blarney Castle is to Cork's history and Cork's heritage, and well done to Moya on that. And 1st place in this category, drum roll, we go to Scoilnave Hall in Upper Glanmire. And we go to Clara McSweeney, and Clara's project actually was on the English market, and she did a really interesting model. Her project book is very well laid out and really try to capture the whole essence of the English market itself. Lord Mayor, are you a regular visitor to the English market? Do you like the English market?
I am, Councillor McCarthy, and the first official engagement of any incoming Lord Mayor is the courtesy tour, the traditional courtesy tour of the Lord Mayor of the English market. It's a tradition that dates back now a number of years, and it was my first engagement as Lord Mayor, as many previous Lord Mayors. I see in the picture down the bottom there, Clara, congratulations. Clara McSweeney down the bottom there, the market in years gone by. I spent a lot of my time in around the city as a young fella, and my grandmother bringing me over to the market, and the smell of fish used to turn my stomach, if I'm to be honest. But you become accustomed to it. But no, well done, congratulations.
Thanks very much, Lord Mayor. We move on to the 4th class group category. And so we're going to go from 5th to 1st here. And again, we're going from, it's actually very much a tie between Upper Glanmire National School and Lady of Lourdes National School. Both schools did really, really well. Our judges were very, very happy with their work. So let's go to the 5th place in this 4th class group category. And we go to Tom Kelleher and Kieran McCarthy to begin with. And their project actually was on Roy Keane. So they chart Roy Keane's I suppose, career from Mayfield to Man United, to his management roles. And it's a really quirky project. There's a lot of field work as well in this. And you can see Tom actually, you can see the picture on the left. This picture shows a picture of Tom at Rockmount, where Roy Keane played as a child and where Tom currently plays. So well done to Tom and Kieran on their project. 4th place in this category, and we go to Scoilnave Hall in Upper Glanmire. We go to Lily O'Keefe, and Ava Dunlea and Mary Kate Dawson, and their project actually is on Cork City Jail. Cork City Jail was a very popular topic, and this year it's a topic that kind of takes any visitor back into early 19th century Cork. And of course, Lily and Ava and Mary Kate, they went up, they visited the jail, and they put together a really interesting factual account of the jail, but also a very colourful account as well, trying to breathe life into the story of a dark part of Cork's past. So well done to them. 3rd place in this category, and we go to Faye Murray and Chloe O'Connor. and they actually did a project on the English market. The English market was very popular this year, and so Faye and Chloe, they went to the English market and did a whole series of interviews with stall holders, which was great, and it's just a really engaging project. So congratulations to Faye and Chloe. And second place in this category, we go to Scullnave Hall, Upper Glenmire, and we go to Bree Delaney and Even O'Brien and Belle Quinlan and Christian Jones, and they did a really, really quirky, colourful project on Photo Wildlife Park, which opened in the 1980s. And many of their pages are full of kind of drawings of the animals and also accounts of how the animals came to Fota, and then there is some really cool Lego models as well. So congratulations to Breed and Evie and Belle and Christian on their project. And coming second, and then first place in this category, we go to Abigail Cregan and Chloe Hurley, who did a project on College Corinthians. I know Abigail and Chloe are from Our Lady of Lourdes National School in Ballinlough. Now the thing about College Corinthians is that it was set up in the 1970s, so I think it's just over 50 years old, and kind of has moved around the city and has moved now to has got a true home in Douglas. And Abigail and Chloe did a fantastic model of the grounds of College Corinthians. So well done to the two girls, and well done on coming first in the 4th class group category. Are you into sport, Lord Mayor? Do you play any sport?
I played junior B football fairly badly, Councillor McCarthy, at one stage. But no, I'm a Manchester United fan.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So I don't know which Premiership clubs Abigail and Chloe may follow, but looking at your model there of College Corinthians, I visited their facilities, and it's you're fairly on the mark. A lot of detail gone into it. It could be maybe structural engineers or something go forward. Definitely, well done.
Yeah, you're bang on as well. Like in terms of the level of detail in the model that's actually in front of us, and we always get loads of models every year. And we get short films as well, and yeah, the detail is always great. So no, it's a point well made on the model just in this picture, and that brings us nicely on to the 4th class category. And we go to Scullnave Katrina in Bishopstown, and we go to the 4th class there, who did a really cool project on Nano Nagle, the Lady of the Lamp. So here's actually on the left, there's actually, no, they came first outright. So they won over other projects that were submitted for the 4th class. So congratulations to the 4th class. And you can see that the image there on the right shows them kind of showing their project to different people in their school. They also did a kind of a stand-up model of Nano Nagle. They visited the Nano Nagle Centre. They did models on the Nano Nagle Place, and just really kind of pulled together a really colourful and creative story. So well done, 4th class, and well done on that. So let us mosey on into the primary school, primary kind of category, which is for 5th and 6th class. So the 4th class group, 4th class category is very much like a welcome to the project. So Lord Mayor, this is the 5th and 6th class that we're going to have a look at now. So the primary individual, we're going to go from schools in Beaumont to Riverstown to Eglantine and back to Beaumont for first place. So let's go from 5th to 1st in the primary individual. So first of all, we go to Beaumont Girls National School, and we go to Arwen O'Farrell, who came 5th place in this category, and she did a really quirky project on Doneraile Court and Wildlife Park. So the thing about Doneraile Court is that it's kind of very much created in the early 1600s, and now today you can actually go and visit the old estate and the old house and find your way around it. And that's what Arwen's project actually is about. She did a really cool model as well, so congratulations to Arwen. 4th place, and we go to Scoil Joseph Nefa in Riverstown, and we go to Gemma Corbin, and her project is actually on the Woodford-born warehouses on Fens Quay. So basically her dad works in the Mardyke Entertainment Complex, which once used to be a gorgeous 19th century warehouse within the city, and she actually built a whole kind of project around her waiting for her dad to finish work, I suppose, or for and it's a really, really cool project that she actually did. So well done to Gemma. 3rd place, and we go to a young man in Beaumont Boys National School, and we go to Jens Maloney. Now the thing about Jens is that he did a project on a monkey puzzle tree, which came into the news, Lord Mayor, there in the last kind of year and a half. Unfortunately, the monkey puzzle tree actually fell down, and the monkey puzzle tree was from the 19th century and belonged to a house. Now, the thing about the house is that the house is long gone, but the monkey tree survived the test of time. And so basically what Jens did is that he reconstructed in drawings what the house kind of looked like. And then I also had a look at kind of the story of the monkey tree and the story of the Crawford family who actually owned the old estate. So where actually the road there runs from Monkey Puzzle kind of across the centre of this picture, and that's basically the South Link Road by Mahon Point today. The house probably would be kind of now kind of Jacob's Island kind of area. So it's a really interesting story. So well done to Jens for this really interesting project. Second place, we go to Grace Cotter, who's from Scoil in Eglantine on Douglas Road. And she did a project called St. Mary's Collegiate Church in Youghal. So St. Mary's Church, which began its life in the early 1200s. And Grace did a really cool project, just showing us around the old church and showcasing some of her favorite pieces. And she also did a really cool model as well. So thanks very much to Grace for her hard work and on becoming second in this kind of primary individual category. And then first place, we go to young man from Beaumont Boys National School, and he actually did Allahy's copper mines, which opened in the middle of the 19th century, and the ruins of which are still there. Cal did our winner here, Cal O'Leary Calendar, he did a really cool model and also loads of field work around that area. And of course, Allahy's Copper Mines also has kind of a mini museum within the area as well. So Cal visited all that and kind of gathered all these kind of particular stories together into a very, very creative project. So well done to Cal on that. Are you a fan of West Cork, Lord Mayor? Do you get to travel much with your own job, or do you get out, go way beyond the county bounds?
Sometimes we get to go to Dublin.
Excellent.
And further afield. No, look, obviously, the office that I hold gives me a scope to travel the city and county and country on numerous occasions. It's kind of been reined in slightly for the last 2 or 3 months on account of the COVID restrictions, but it is opening back up again. I'm a massive fan of West Cork. I've never actually been to the copper mines in Allahy's, to be quite honest with you. And I know it's you can see the level of detail that he's put into the project here, Cal, now, and congratulations on it. But no, look, we've massive history and heritage all around our city, but not also our city or county. And I noticed the little girl there that came second. I was reading the slide she had, Councillor McCarthy, in the church below in Youghal. There was a sword rest for the mayor to put his sword when he attended church. So we've nothing like that in City Hall. If we do, they haven't told me about it anyway.
But I know you're a big fan of the mace has been carried before the Lord Mayor as well, and I know that tradition is something that you strongly support. So yeah, I know you're right. So in each one of these projects are like these various historical nuggets, and you could be forever kind of mining down into them. But of course, it's with that mining analogy, we kind of end up here with Cal O'Leary Calendar, who kind of mined down into Allahy's copper mine. So congratulations to Cal on this project. So let us mosey on, Lord Mayor, to the primary group category. And this is going to take us again from Beaumont through Riverstown to St. Patrick's Girls National School to Eglantine and back to Glanmire. So right through the heart of the city. So let's start with 5th place in this category. We go to Ciara O'Shea and Leo O'Leary Calendar and Niamh Punch. And they're from Beaumont Girls National School. And they did a project actually on Páirc Uí Chaoimh. And they did a really super model of Páirc Uí Chaoimh and just a very well laid out project book, really, really colourful, really engaging. And those who do this project are encouraged to make sure their project books are colourful, because the world is a colourful place. And certainly this is a colourful project book. So well done to Ciara and Leah and Niamh on their project. Fourth place in this category, we go to a really interesting project on Cork GEA, and very much it's the story of Cork GEA from probably its origins in the 1880s and all the way through to the present day. And I've got some really, really cool stuff on how the red and white colour kind of came into being, some really cool stuff on the GA during the time of the Irish War of Independence and how British forces broke into the Cork County Board and burned kits, and then they had to come up with new kits, and then the red and white colour was kind of used. So some really, really, really important stories for Cork sporting heritage that they actually mine down into. So well done to Kevin Barry and Adam Byrne and Harry Brown from Scoil Joseph Neva in Riverstone. So on to third place, and we go to Samantha Milner and Maeve Heafy. And they did a project actually on Brian Dillon's, which is a really, really important club, GA club in the northern side of the city. And the great thing about Samantha and Maeve's project is that they did interviews with people who have been part of the club like for years and decades. And it's just a really personal project. And well done to Samantha and Maeve for their hard work, and congratulations on coming third in their category. And second place, we go to Orla French and Maeve Russell and Lucy Regan, and they're from Scoil Vrida, Eglantine and Douglas Road. And they did a project on Elizabeth Fort. And so they visited the fort, and they had a chat with the fantastic guides that are in the fort. And of course, like Cork City Council managed this fort, and there's a really great team there. And these girls got a lot out of speaking to the lads and lassies at the gate. And I think Elizabeth, I got a number of projects on Elizabeth Fort this year, and this is a really, really colourful and creative one. So well done to Orla and Maeve and Lucy. And first place in this category, we go to Ava Walsh and Charlotte Roach and Rose Kelleher. And they did a project called the 28th Drogheda Corky, 28 Bridges of Cork. So they selected 28 bridges within the city centre. And then they went to task about recording when they were built and why they were built and what type of bridges they are, who they're named after. And it's a really, really great project. And there's loads of really nice fieldwork photographs within this project book. So congratulations to Ava and Charlotte and Rose on a really great project. Lord Mayor, are you a fan of bridges in Cork? Any particular bridge that you like crossing over or really get inspired?
They're a necessity. We city centres on an island, so we kind of need them. No, I know I've spoken to you in relation to the amount of crossings that are on the River Lee, the North Channel and the South Channel. I suppose my favourite one would be Patrick's Bridge, the one that's in the central picture there, and only for the picture where you can see Ava, Charlotte and Rose. When a former Taoiseach, Jack Lynch, died, the band played in Pope's Quay. He had the pipers playing in Pope's Quay, and his remains were brought over Patrick's Bridge. And I can remember as a young fella, I was almost on near enough the same position in Lavitt's Quay that the three girls are there. And I can remember the hearse coming across the bridge. And it's something that always resonated with me. So my favourite bridge in the city is Patrick's Bridge, and it was renovated recently, as you know, it was officiated under the tenureship of the previous Lord Mayor Mick Finn. But no, well done, and so many iconic photos of Cork are related to our bridges down through the years, and you know it's a great project. And so well done to all involved.
Cool. And you mentioned the word iconic. I'd have to say this project book is also iconic in terms of its look, and when you do actually read through it, it's epic as well. There's a lot of information in it. So well done to Ava and Charlotte and Rose, and that kind of leads us nicely on to the primary class category. And we've got third to first here, so we're going to go from Scoil Vera Junior School to Strawberry Hill to Gardener's Hill. So let's start with the Scoil Vera Junior School in Wellington Road. Miss Newman's sixth class, and did a project on the 2 kilometre heritage trail, the Victorian Quarter, St. Luke's cross to St. Patrick's Street to Penrose Quay. So you'll notice this, the picture there on the top left of the image is just one of their typical pages. You can see the level of detail, old pictures, old maps, and loads of sketches as well right throughout this project. It's a really cool project book to pick up and actually walk around with and really come to grips with how this whole area came into being. So well done to 6th class in Cllr Junior School on Wellington Road. And in second place in this category, it's on the Normans in Cork, and we go to Strawberry Hill National School, and we go to Mr. O'Connor's class, 5th class there, and did a project on the Normans in Cork. And so basically they built a huge model, Lord Mayor, of what Northgate Bridge might have looked like way back in the day with the wall town. And so they glued stones together and they created the town wall of Cork, and it's really, really clever. You can see that there in the top left. So putting a focus on the archaeology in Cork and what's beneath the surface in Cork. And then first place, we had a really cool project from St. Patrick's Boys National School in Gardner's Hill. And they did a project, The Lady of the Lantern, Nano-Nagle. So they went and they visited the Nano-Nagle place. And they also actually created these, during their art class, these gorgeous lamps, art and craft lamps. You can see them there actually in the picture. And it's just really colourful, really clever, very quirky. And my sincere thanks for all the creativity in St. Patrick's Boys National School in Mr. Jeffers' class. Were you any good at art and craft in school, Lord Mayor? Is that something that you were ever good at? I know you're always you're a creative person anyway, but.
Yeah, I took art for my junior cert. I didn't continue on to my leaving cert though, but no, I enjoyed it. But what's on display here is absolutely amazing. I love the calligraphy, the Lady of the Lantern, the Nano-Nagle from St. Patrick's Boys National School. It's very in keeping within the the 1700s script like that. So that kind of jumps out at me. But no, in fairness, they went to, as you said, to visit the Nano-Nagle Centre on Douglas Street, which I had the privilege of visiting as Lord Mayor as well. And actually, it was my first time ever being in there. When I became Lord Mayor, because so many people would walk past it, you wouldn't realise it was there. Now we always knew that the nuns were there and the school was there, but what has been done in there is absolutely amazing. But no, well done to everyone in 5th class in St. Patrick's Boys National School. Very good project.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Lord Mayor. And that brings us nicely on to a category I call the Community Heritage Award. So this is open to, this is just an open category to students who really want to promote the community aspect and why local history and local heritage is important to local communities. So there isn't a 1st to 5th place here. These are just individuals that have entered this category. And the first kind of block within this Community Heritage Award, they did their project books on Cork buildings. And so let me just go through very briefly some of their work, Lord Mayor, if I may. So this is a project by Joshua George, and he did a project in the Crawford Art Gallery. And one of the greatest things within this project book is that he did a Minecraft model of the Crawford Art Gallery, which is really quirky. So well done to Joshua on that. And he's from Beaumont Boys National School. And then we had Max Horrigan, who actually did a project book on Cork Airport. So kind of mapping the history of Cork Airport from the 1960s to the present day. And Max is actually from Beaumont Boys National School. And we had James Murphy, who did a project on Elizabeth Fort, and he went to visit Elizabeth Fort, and he kind of mapped the various uses of the fort over time, took loads of photographs. So well done to James from Beaumont Boys National School on that particular project. And then we go to Matthew Berkeley. So that the spelling there should be Berkeley, not Burley, so Burkley. So Matthew did his project on Blackrock Castle. And this, so you can see here on the right some of the, I suppose, the contents of his project book. So who owned the castle down through the ages and what the castle is doing now through the ownership of Cork City Council, and just a really, really cool project. So well done to Matthew Berkeley on that. And then we come to the Community Heritage Award and the Public Spaces categories. So these are individuals who wanted to really promote why some of our public spaces in Cork are really important. And we go back to Beaumont Boys National School for all of these. So we go to Cormac Sweeney, who did a lovely project on Blackrock Village and Pier, and how the pier came into being throughout the ages, and some really cool old photographs and then modern photographs as well. And then we go to Matty Herstein, who did a project on the River Lee. And Matty not only did physical models of the city centre island, but he also did Minecraft models of Cork docks and things like that. And they're really, really clever. So well done to Matty on that. And then we had a project on Gugan Barra from Alex McLaughlin, and Alex kind of studied the church on the island and why Gugan Barra is so important, the legacy of St. Finbar, and so well done to Alex on his particular project. And then we had a Community Heritage Award section, and I call it Community Heritage and People category, where our students wanted to celebrate some Cork people and their achievements in the past. So we had, you'll see here, we go from Ballintemple back to Beaumont. So let's start with Conor Kennedy and Holly Quinn. And they did actually sports people of Cork, and they're from Ballintemple National School. You can see the list there: Roy Keane, Christy Ring, Derval O'Rourke, and then you can see their trips and models and maps. So it's just really interesting. So well done to Conor and Holly on that. And then we go to Billy Honohan, whose I suppose ancestry was bound up with Thompson's Bakery on McCurtain Street. So Billy had loads of old photographs of Thompson's Bakery throughout the years, and also had a picture of his granddad and his friends. And he had a really cool picture, Lord Mayor, of his granddad and his friend with the Lord Mayor of Cork, Sean French, in 1976. A very kind of rare photograph. So well done to Billy on finding all that information, all those old photographs. And then we had one by Alfie Ronan, which is on Cork markets. And one of the things in particular Alfie zoomed in on was on the Marina market. So I think certainly during the last 2 years, all these pop-up markets and cafes kind of have popped up around the city. And Alfie wanted to celebrate some of that. So well done to Alfie on that. So that's just some of our Community Heritage Awards. Are you a fan of, you mentioned the English market, Lord Mayor. I suppose, do you walk the streets of Cork and celebrate a cup of coffee and a food in your hand, or any favourite street in Cork?
I do. As I said, I spent a lot of my youth in around the city and around Drawbridge Street, Perry Street, down where the Grand Circle used to be, which is since not now, and around Emmett Place. The city is a great place, particularly in the summer, and with the pedestrianisation of the streets that happened during COVID. It's ironic it took us a pandemic to realise we could eat outside, but we've really transformed the city centre. I do have a confession to make, though. I haven't yet been to the Marine Market. It looks amazing. Let's get down there.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, that's the great thing about some of these projects as well. They really encourage you to go and visit them and so on, and to get more engaged. I find that as well. Reading all the project books and working with our judges, they really just fill you with inspiration, enthusiasm. So well done to Alfie, and well done to all our Community Heritage Award winners. And that brings us nicely into the secondary school category. And here we're going to go from Douglas Community School all the way to Presentation Secondary School in Ballyfihan. So let's start with third place here, and we go to Patrick Keary Fitzsimons, who's with Douglas Community School. And he did a project actually on Titanic and Cove, and the story of the 124 passengers that got on a Cove. They took a tender boat out to the Titanic in 1912. The Titanic was more just outside Cork Harbour. And the great thing about Patrick's project was that he did a really large model actually on the Titanic, and then his project book is full of snippets on the importance of Cove and the connection to the Titanic. So well done to Patrick on that. And then second place, we go to Lucas Collins from Douglas Community School, and he did his project book on the Kilmichael ambush. And here we're dealing with the interesting thing about Lucas's project here is that he highlights that his great granduncle was shot in the ambush, and he actually adds pictures in of his great granduncle. So his family fought during the War of Independence, and I suppose a life was sacrificed. So well done to Lucas on this really fascinating and very personal project. So well done. And then first place in this category, and we go to Presentation Secondary School, but we go to someone who actually did a self-entry. She has entered before in primary school, and she came back to enter this year whilst in secondary school. We go to Cleona Marshall. So Clina's come first in this junior certificate individual category, and she did her project on the Dean family. Now, the Dean family were very, very active in Cork and in Ireland from the early 1800s all the way into the late 1800s. But the picture there on the left, in the centre of the front cover of our project book, shows a gentleman called Thomas Dean. Thing about Thomas Dean is that he was an architect in Cork. He was very, very popular. He did things like the Imperial Hotel. He had relatives that were involved in the Cork Savings Bank. He had a brother that he worked with on St. Mary's Dominican Church, Pope's Quay. Thomas Dean was also, he worked on things like the Quadrangle and UCC, and has left a huge legacy. And so basically Clina unpacked the Dean family legacy, and it's a really, really colourful and creative piece of work. So well done to Clina on that. And that brings us nicely to the junior cert group, and we've got one outright winner here, and we go to Christ the King Secondary School on South Douglas Road, and we go to Lauren Downing and Ida Lane, and they did a project book on the tramway lines of Cork. So basically mapping out where the old trams used to run, and then actually to encourage people in their class to engage in the story of the trams, they actually renamed some of the classrooms for a day after some of the tram stops, and that's actually that's quite clever. So outreach is also a really important part of this project. There's no point doing a project book and no one actually sees it, and these girls went all out. So well done to Lauren, and well done to Ida. Lord Mayor, I know that you're a huge advocate of kind of public transport in Cork, and kind of getting people kind of on bicycles and walking and other elements like that. I think there's a few interesting projects here, even in architecture and public spaces. Any favourite building in Cork?
Yeah, I'd have to say it's the Cash's building, to be honest with you, which is now Brown Thomas. Cash's when I was a young fella. I don't know, I just think the limestone on the front of it, and the way it's in keeping with, I suppose, City Hall and the two buildings that we have across from the river from it. But there are no, I think a lot of those buildings you see them replicated in other cities around the world. But it adds real character, and I know Roach's Stores is probably built, you may correct me, it's probably built of the same material, but the Roach's building is since painted. Just in relation to Lauren and Ida, well done in your project with the trams. I personally think one of the worst things that was ever done was for the government of the day to rip up the trams in Cork City, and not to mention the rail lines around the country. And ironically enough, now here we are almost a century or more later, and we're looking at reinstating light rail in the city. But I really like the fact that you renamed some of your rooms in the school tram stations or tram stops. There was a few pictures there of the tram lines that are still evident in Blackrock Village. I was only up there the other day, but there's also pictures, and where I'm from, out in Ballincollig, in the local establishments of a tram going up the straight road. So it's yeah, they're a loss, but hopefully they will be coming back, you know.
Cool. Thanks for that, Lord Mayor. Well done to Lauren and Ida, as the Lord Mayor has said. And that leads us on into the Leaving Certificate categories. Usually we get a lot of transition years that are entering every year. And we have two outright winners here. We have a second place and a first place in the individual category. And the second place in the Leaving Cert individual category, we go to Christian Brothers College in Wellington Road. And we go to a really interesting project on the lighthouses of Cork. So there are 13 lighthouses within County Cork, and they all have their own stories. Roach's Point, for example, is like 1810s in date, and some of them are later in date. But basically, Jack O'Callaghan, who came second in this category with his project book, The Lighthouses of Cork, he teases out the story of some of these, some of the 13 lighthouses that we actually have. So well done to Jack for a very well laid out project and thought-provoking project as well. Sometimes we take many of these lighthouses for granted, but they're very, very important to the shipping lanes that we have kind of around our country. So and first place in this category, and we go to Paul Scanlon, and he's also from Christian Brothers College in Wellington Road, and he did a project on Fitzgerald's Park and the Cork International Exhibition. So he explored the story of the Great Exhibition in 1902 and 1903, where a whole series of prefabricated buildings were planted onto a riverbank of the River Lee, and they were there for 6 months over 1902 and 6 months over 1903. And after that, all the buildings were taken down, but the ponds and the gardens connected with the exhibition were kept. And reopened in 1906 after Edward Fitzgerald, who was the Lord Mayor of Cork, and actually organised the exhibition, and hence the name kind of Fitzgerald's Park. And Paul's project is all about kind of teasing out that legacy and how the park came into being. And we're very, very lucky with that particular space. And that leads us nicely into other nice spaces in the city and the Leaving Certificate group category. We've got a first and second place here. And we're going to Cllr Secondary School, and we're going to go to second place in this category, and we go to Abby Gomani, Abby Quigley, and Gabrielle Enright, and their project is called The Gems of Cork City, and so they actually picked 3 gems. So one was Fitzgerald's Park, the second was UCC, and then they picked the gem, we say the legacy of Tom Barry, the West Cork IRA commander during the Irish War of Independence. And then within their project pages as well, there's some really nice models they've created. This is actually a model of the Crawford Observatory in UCC, which was built in the 1870s. And it's a really just well laid out book. You can see the pages. It's a lovely scrapbook kind of feel to it. And it's just well laid out and very creative, and well done to Abig and Abby and Gabrielle on their project. And first place in this category, and we go to Cueva Cowig and Isabel Healy and Neve Bugler, and they did a project on the people of Cork, and they picked a number of famous people. Again, this project book is like a scrapbook, so they started with a gentleman called Dr. James Barry, who, when he passed away, was discovered that he was a woman who dressed up as a male doctor because she wanted to advance in medicine in her career. Anne Bonny, who was a very famous pirate, so reputedly from Kinsale in the 1600s. Edward Bransfield, who was from Middleton and who discovered parts of Antarctica. Mary Elms, who was involved in helping people from the Holocaust. And of course, we've got Mary Elms Bridge in the city as well. And so it's a really, really nice project. Lord Mayor, any famous person that really kind of inspires you, or a story that you've kind of come across over the last 6 months of your office that all has stayed with you? I know you mentioned Jack Lynch kind of earlier on.
Yeah, I suppose, well, look, he's not from Cork, but I had the privilege of hosting the president to lunch here in City Hall, Michael D. Higgins, and he was one of the most interesting men I've ever met in my life. I had a private lunch with him for 40 minutes, and just a fountain of knowledge. But that was, I suppose, the most iconic person I've probably met to date. We, as Lord Mayor, you have ambassadors, the Taoiseach, the Taoiseach, ministers, members of the Navy have been here for civic receptions in City Hall, but all of them would be the Oak on the hair and the president. I have to admit, this is the first time, Councillor McCarthy, I'm hearing about Dr. James Barry. I'd be intrigued to know a bit more about that and why she felt that she had to dress up as a man to excel as a doctor. I suppose it was the generation that she came from. But congratulations to Cueva and Isabel and Neve, the people of Cork. It's absolutely amazing. You did reference Mary Elms there. There's a new bridge dedicated to Mary Elms, who was from Cork and helped French Jews in to survive the Holocaust in the Second World War.
Cool. Thank you very much, Lord Mayor, for that. Well done to Cueva and Isabel and Neve again. And that leads us nicely into the last part of our prize ceremony this afternoon, which is what I call special prizes, or projects that really kind of stood out, Lord Mayor, during the judging process. So the best creator project goes to Clara McCarthy from Our Lady of Lourdes National School in Ballinlough. And she did a project called The Remarkable St. Anne's Hydro through the years. So between Tower and Blarney, there's a ruin of an old hydro. And what I call a relaxation centre developed in the 1800s. So 1857, the foundations were laid. And now what's there is just a set of ruins. And Clara set out to uncover, whilst working with local people, the story of the hydro. And plus she dressed up as different people and acted out different scenes as well, from the story of the hydro as well. So sincere thanks to Clara for that, for her hard work. The best original heritage project, go back to Our Lady Lourdes National School in Ballinlough, to Isabel O'Mahony and Grace Murphy, and they did a project called Hidden Fossil Trails of Cork, which is one of the, I suppose, the most clever projects I've ever actually read, Lord Mayor, where you think you know your city and then you read a project like this, where in every paving of Cork, whether it's modern or old, are always fossils from millions of years ago. And they basically did a walking trail through some of the fossils we have, through places like outside City Hall, where the Garda station is, Corn Market Street, Grand Parade. And they also developed their own website as well. So well done to Isabel and Grace on the hidden fossil trails of Cork. And then the best neighbourhood trail, we go to fourth class and did a project called the Lee Fields in Carrigahan Road, Skull Nave, Katrina and Bishopstown, to Miss Hurley's class. I know the Lee Fields is out by your area, Lord Mayor. Are you a walker of the Lee Fields?
I am, and a number of, it was my first year in council. I actually met yourself out there, and you were able to tell me how the sculpture of the dragon was airlifted in the 80s out there. Yeah,
and what's interesting within this project, they also have that story as well, that the dragon Sauron, and you can see some of their contents page there on the right. And yeah, no, it's a really great space. So well done to fourth class though on this. Best neighbourhood trail, and then we have best sports project, which goes to Cllr Junior School, to Miss O'Keefe's class, to fifth class there. It's a project book called Where We Sported and Played, and you can see their contents page here. So they did a huge A3 scrapbook, Lord Mayor, full of things on Olympians in Cork and rugby in Cork and rowing and tennis and hockey and swimming and GA. And it's just a really epic piece of work, and well deserving of the best sports project and this year. So well done to Miss O'Keefe's class. And then we have Best Now and Then projects, which is a joint first. And we go to Skull and Sprid, Nave, Colleen and Bishopstown. Now, the judges found it impossible to separate these two projects because they're just really quirky. And they actually, I suppose, they address different aspects of kind of the now and then life in Cork. So, for example, this is actually Miss Ahern's sixth class from Skull and Sprid, Nave, Colleen. And they did kind of buildings of Cork and changing fashion and changing sport and education. And they did loads of Lego models as well on kind of buildings in Cork. And it's just a really creative project. So well done to Mr. Hearn's class. And then in competition with another sixth class in the school, to Miss Nicrista's class, they did a really cool project on the changing face of local government, human rights in Cork, equality. Some of their pages kind of had an old page look to it. It's just a really, really well laid out project full of sketches and just full of nuggets. So my sincere congratulations to the joint first from Mr. Hearn's class and Miss Nicrista's class in Skull on Sprid Nave Colleen in Bishopstown. And then we have the Best Nature and History project, which goes to Our Lady of Lourdes National School in Ballinlough, to Grace Colm. And she did a project called The Quarry in Beaumont. And she did a lot of what I call 3D drawings, that as you're turning the pages, these drawings nearly jump out of the page at you. And it really focuses on how one should balance between local history, so the historical facts, and the fact that something is still living, that the quarry itself has fantastic biodiversity. So I love the way Grace actually married kind of biodiversity, natural heritage, and kind of local history together, and also had loads of sections as well on maybe where we should take something like the quarry and what it should be in the future. So it's the Best Nature and History project. The Best Fun and Creativity project goes to Bella Ryan and Our Lady of Lourdes National School in Ballinlough. This is really, really interesting. She created her own board game on Elizabeth Fort. She also did loads of kind of really quirky drawings. So it wasn't, usually sometimes I get project books on Elizabeth Fort and the information can be very kind of static. This takes it to a whole new level. She turned Elizabeth Fort kind of on its head, if I could say that, and went for it. Lord Mayor, have you been to Elizabeth Fort in your travels yet?
I have, yes. I'd be fairly familiar with it as a local Cork man. I love the board game. It's absolutely amazing. Don't lose your head at Elizabeth Fort.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very catchy, and the start and finish. And you can see the dates that, in fairness to Bella, like she comes around the start and the finish, started in 1590 finishes in 2021 last year. But no, it is very, and the characters down below, from Gardaí to, I suppose, reference to the Garda station that was there, Queen Elizabeth to, I can't quite, that Shakespeare maybe, and I can't quite make out the Fort character. Well done, absolutely amazing.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, thanks, Lord Mayor, for that. Well done to Bella. And then we got the best research project, which is Our Lady Lourdes National School in Balloch, Camille Goggin, who really went to town on this particular project. So her journey, she went from Cork City Library to the jail, to Cork City and County Archives in Blackpool, and all the way to the National Library in Dublin, to try to figure out how the Cork Women's Prison, Cork City Jail, 1878 to 1923, came into being, and who were the principal characters. And it's just so well researched, and well done to Camille on a fantastic job, well done. And then we go to the Best Model Award, which is a joint first. It was really, really hard for our judges to separate Ethan Roach from Dylan Murray. But let's just have a look at the Best Model Award. So Ethan Roach, he did a model on Parky Queeve, but his model base is a chocolate cake. So he likes to bake cakes, but prefers to eat them, he says. Made the icing white and added green food dye to make it look like grass. Put GA players and goals on the pitch, and it was Cork versus Waterford, and the score was Cork 3-14 and Waterford 0-10. And then the family and Ethan enjoyed eating the cake afterwards. So well done to Ethan on that. And then actually the joint first, we go to a young man called Dylan Murray, who's in Beaumont Boys National School. And his story actually is on a family member. And so basically Michael J. Murray was his great grandfather, and the story basically goes from, his project book goes from Bandon to Fermoy to Charleville, and during the time of and his great grandfather sets up a drapery store in Charleville in the early 1900s, but unfortunately the Black and Tans burn it down in 1920, and basically Dylan actually did a model of what the old shop looked like before the burning. So he used timber, and he worked with other family members to create this really, really great model. So yeah, we go from a cake model to a timber model this year, so really two contrasting elements. Our Best Film Award, Lord Mayor, we've got a Best Film Award, so we get models and also kind of short films of 3 to 4 minutes. And it goes to Oscar Olinchik from Beaumont Boys National School, and it's on a Cove history project. And so basically his film is about him actually showing people around some aspects of Cove, and also showing people around the Queenstown story, looking at the Titanic model. And Oscar very much should be a nationwide presenter like you see on RTE. It was really, really clever. So well done to Oscar on that. The Best Film Award.
The Oscar goes to Oscar.
The Oscar, yeah, actually, well done, Lord. The Oscar goes to Oscar, and so congratulations. And then we had a Decade of Commemorations Award, Lord Mayor, and it's joined first. So let's just have a look at those two. So the joint first, one of the first goes to Chloe Lynch and Aisling Lynch, and did a project on Michael Collins, and it did some really, really cool artwork. This is actually part of their front cover, actually on the right, actually here, and it's very well laid out, and just well presented. And I suppose in this year of Michael Collins' death, it was really, really apt to get a project on the story of Michael Collins. And then actually the second project we got on this, on a subject of the decade of the commemorations, we go to Conor Murphy, who did a project on Spike Island, and there was a family connection. So basically, he did an interview with his grandfather, Tim Murphy, and his father, Dennis Murphy, actually ended up in Spike Island, and actually created an autograph book. So went to all the prisoners in the internment camp and actually collected all the autographs. And so Conor's granddad still actually has the autograph book, and there's a really, really touching video with Conor actually interviewing his granddad. So sincere thanks to Conor for that, and well done. And then last but very not least, is Coon O'Neill's project. It's called Fords on the Marina, a Cork Heritage Treasure. And this year's theme, Lord Mayor, was called Cork Heritage Treasures. And so Coon kind of grabbed that particular theme, connected into the Henry Ford story down the marina, and he kind of ended up, so Coon is from Beaumont Boys National School and ended up exploring a whole series of things. So you can see here in the top left is a brainstorming map. He did actually a Minecraft model of the assembly line down in Henry Ford's. He went out to Ballinascarthy to have a look at the Ford family history. He interviewed people who were associated with the Henry Ford plant. And he also emailed scholars. So for example, Miriam Nine, who actually has written a book called Are You There Below? The Story of the Ford Factory in Cork. And she emailed back, and really, really great project. And he really went for it. And congratulations to him on that. And that's kind of where I want to, that's all the winners, Lord Mayor, this year. So let me stop sharing. Are you, I suppose, have you ever ventured into the story of Ford's and Coon's project there, the Henry Ford project?
You know, it's well done. It's absolutely amazing. And obviously traveled the length and breadth of the city and the county to say that she went down to Ballinascarthy there to see the stainless steel replica of the Model T. There's a long-standing tradition with the Office of Lord Mayor and Ford Ireland. They provide a car to the Office of the Lord Mayor, and this year we received the first ever fully electric car. So we're trying to be, you know, cognizant of either the climate and our environment around us, but I suppose there's a long history in Cork associated with Ford, massive employment down the marina, and you have Dunlops next to them. I suppose tyres and motor cars went hand in hand for a long time, and they complemented each other. Unfortunately, they're no longer there now. You know, they're lost, but it's a lot of people. Even people, I suppose, my father's age would have worked down there and would have been the second and third generations to work down in Fords. And they were a massive employer in the city, sadly missed. But no, it's well done to Coon there. Absolutely amazing. Very colourful, very insightful. I love the little Henry Ford speech bubble. I couldn't quite make out what he was saying, but no, well done. Congratulations.
Excellent. And that brings us to the end of the award ceremony for this year. Just before I stop the record on this Zoom recording, I just want to thank the Lord Mayor very much for attending the last hour and giving loads of very useful contributions on what his favorite things are in the city. And I know that he's going to have a look at some of the history projects as well in real life. Yeah, it's always good to kind of pick up some of these project books and see them in real life as well. So well done to everybody. Can I also say thanks very much to the teachers who supported the project this year and for the last few years as well. There's some teachers that come back again and again. Can I also thank parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, dogs, cats for their support as well. I reckon if that we say 800 students partaking in this project every year, we can multiply that by a factor of 4 or 5. So I am saying that probably every year over 3,000, maybe perhaps 4,000 people take part in this project and enjoy it and kind of tease out and get under the skin of this kind of great historic city. So we'll see you all for, you can.
Can I say one thing? And thank you for your acknowledgement. But I'd like to thank you, Councillor Dr. Kieran McCarthy, the history buff that sits on Cork City Council, and that anytime we're on the council chamber on the floor, if there's a history question, the 30 heads automatically switch to the end of the chamber to where Kieran sits, and he's able to inform us what date, what time, who they were, where they were from, an absolute encyclopedia of knowledge for our city and an asset to Cork City Council. But I'd just like to compliment you on the work you've done in relation to this project, and also to the teachers and to the students, but in particular to yourself, Councillor Cork.
Thank you very much. And we'll see everybody hopefully physically in 2023.
So